It's interesting, isn't it? The Northern Ireland policing problem, which sort of dominates the serious press. Ian Paisley Jr. Said this accidental data leak, which potentially puts the 10,000 police officers and staff, it puts their addresses, their details into the hands of into the hands of terrorists, potential terrorists, and it's really dangerous in a country that within living memory has had violence on the streets. And Paisley is among a number of people who I think has been calling for Parliament to be recalled to discuss what to do next. He's written to Suella Braverman. Well, don't hold your breath hoping for a reply from that. And so many police officers were killed during the Troubles. I think he and a lot of people in Northern Ireland are, with good reason, concerned about this data breach. Now, so far, no one has had to be rehoused yet, we're told, but the force is bracing for a flood of compensation claims, potential fines, and all manner of chaos because of the data mismanagement. And at the same time, the Windsor Agreement doesn't seem to have opened the way for Northern Ireland to actually get back to work. And what is Plan B? The Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, has this week called for discussions with London to see what can be done, because Northern Ireland is supposed to be hosting an investment conference and a US trade mission. Well, will that happen if there is no Stormont? And then we come back to the really interesting stuff, because Suella Braverman's hand is so evident in anything that happens in the House of Commons and in the government at the moment. The European Convention on Human Rights, Churchill's legacy, which Suella Braverman has now added her name, saying that she wants to leave it. We've got this cabal of 60 backbenchers drumming on their desks, demanding that we leave this. Well, if we leave the European Convention on Human Rights, the Northern Ireland Agreement is thrown into complete confusion, because it's underpinned by that. So we leave that, and everything that was done by Chris Heaton-Harris, everything that was done by Chris Heaton-Harris to restore some order to the chaos, to the mess left by Lord Frost, by Boris Johnson's, by all that sort of dithering around, and again by the laziness of people who don't look at the detail, who just listen to the rhetoric and pipe out the rhetoric and the slogans and paint the side of a bus with rubbish. All that hard work done by Chris Heaton-Harris will come to nothing. And the chances are that we will end up with chaos in Northern Ireland, in the island of Ireland. What are these mad people? What are these mad people in the Conservative Party doing? As for getting rid of the European Convention on Human Rights anyway, the only reason they're upset about it is that it allows people to stop the Rwanda flights. Those Rwanda flights, if it wasn't the European Convention on Human Rights, it wasn't the European Court of Human Rights that was stopping those flights, it would be British judges. And there are British judges sitting in the European Court anyway. it's a misunderstanding of its role to think that it is part of Europe. It's part of the framework which was devised by Churchill and by us to ensure that Europe is safe after the Second World War. And the European Union was another safeguard. We've left the European Union. We haven't so far left the European Convention, and we shouldn't. We shouldn't. It's absurd. And we're only doing that because we can't get the Rwanda plan through. It's like holding my breath until I die because I'm not being given a banana. It's like burning the house down because I don't like the sideboard or the colour of my front door. It is that level of madness that we are looking at in the Conservative Party, and it is madness. It is madness coupled with laziness and stupidity. It's about a pile of adults who haven't done their homework. And Lee Anderson, of course, sums up all of them. Why is Lee Anderson making such a noise? Why did he F-bomb his way around the other morning? Do you think he can't control his language? Well, that may be possible, but I think not. I think he was looking for attention, poor man, poor little man, because he must recognise he's lost his seat in Parliament at the next election. So his only hope is GB News. Well, he's useless at that. But maybe he can use GB News as an excuse and come down south to, quote, be close to GB News so that he can go in and out of the studio and pump his failing failing ego. And at the same time, find a nice constituency that he can easily win in the south, that he can persuade people that he is the man to take it on, that he is the man that is needed in Parliament to resist Starmer, to resist the Labour Party. He will be the thorn in their side. I think that's the scenario. I think we will hear more swearing from Lee Anderson because that's his only way forward. The salty truth teller. Well, let's make it very clear. Lee Anderson, there's not very much of a journey from one ear to the other, is there, frankly? But he's more creative. He is more creative than some of the others who are just spouting the rhetoric they've heard around the corridors of power. At least Lee Anderson, in his limited way, is being creative and is looking for a life after this Parliament. I just hope he doesn't end up back in the green benches.